Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be all of the books that I read in the month of September. This month I ended up reading a total of 9 books. I was on a little bit of a book hangover from August because I did participate in the Newts and I read I think something like 15 books in August, so I kind of wanted to dial it down a little bit in September just because that was a lot of books to read in August, and I just wanted to slow it down a little bit, kind of take my time, pick up, just kind of mood read the whole month long and kind of just pick up whatever I wanted to read, not have a set TBR, so that's what happened. It's kind of all over the place, and I actually only own 2 of the books that I read. I've been really into Hoopla lately. I discovered it, I think, at the end of July, and I've really been utilizing that as well as Overdrive. I listen to all of my audiobooks from Overdrive. It's a library app. They're both amazing, so I have been listening to and consuming a lot of media that I don't own lately. The first book that I read in September was Spider-Man vs. Deadpool Volume 2 by Joe Kelly. This I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. This comic book series is very delightful, but at the same time it's very piecemeal. There is a larger story that you're exploring, but the artists kind of go on like a lot of tangents, so this second volume was just kind of guest written. Each story in the volume was guest written, so it doesn't actually have to do with the main story, which they're going to pick back up in volume 3, I believe, but this is just Spider-Man and Deadpool just teaming up. They have such a wonderful dynamic, you know. Deadpool is this foul-mouthed, chaotic, neutral sort of person, and he's trying to do better, and so that's why he wants to team up with Spider-Man, who, you know, Peter Parker is this precious little buttoned-up nerd who has some good quips, and their humor really bounces well off of each other, which is what makes this series so fun to read. Deadpool is trying to become a better person, and for reasons I won't explain, he has a vendetta against Peter Parker, but he doesn't realize that Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker. So while he's cultivating this bromance and friendship with Spider-Man, he's trying to destroy Peter Parker, so that's a lot of fun. This is just some good, lighthearted, very meta reading. I've really been enjoying it. This one was 3 out of 5 stars just because it was like guest written, so the narrative wasn't really there and it was a little bit choppy, but the next one, I think the first volume I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, and we'll see like what the next one is. It's definitely an enjoyable read. If you love Spider-Man or Deadpool or both, this is a must-read series for you. The second book that I read in September was The Institute by Stephen King. I have a whole 30-minute vlog on this, also reviewing this book. I did give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Probably, I think this was my favorite book that I read in the month of September, and I'm not going to go too much into it here because, again, 30 minutes of content were had. I will list it down below or in like one of these information boxes, one of those if you want to check it out, but I really loved this one. It's got that new King feel, but it very much reminds me of Firestarter, so if you liked that book, you'll probably like this one as well. It's about a group of kids who get kidnapped because they have telepathy or telekinetic powers, and they are being tested on by the Institute, and you have to try and figure out why these kids were kidnapped, why they're being tested on, and what higher purpose does the Institute serve. The third book I read this month was Thor Volume 1, Goddess of Thunder by Jason Aaron, and I picked this one up because if you are kind of in the know and follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's highly hinted at that we're gonna get some Lady Thor. That's really exciting. That is not something that I had kind of explored, so I wanted to pick up a volume that did kind of show the Lady Thor, Goddess of Thunder. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a very typical first volume in a series, and I would be interested in picking the second book up. This one follows a very depressed original Thor, and he can no longer pick up his hammer because of events that I don't really want to get into it because there are spoilers for different series. Something has happened in the Marvel universe and he is no longer able to pick up his hammer, whether that's like a mental thing. It's kind of like a mental block, honestly. And then this mysterious woman comes and is able to pick up the hammer and becomes Thor herself. This is really interesting to me. I don't know how much this is going to play off of the movie, and the reason why I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars was because it was just like a standard like introduction into a series, which, you know, usually aren't the best. They're mostly setting up things that happen as opposed to actual plot, but there was a plot in this one. You know, you explore the original Thor and kind of his mental state over not being able to pick up his hammer and exploring what that means for him. You get to explore the mystery of the new Thor and figure out who she is, because we don't actually know, and then there's like some intrigue where other gods of Asgard are not too pleased that original Thor is not the Thor at the moment, so they're going to try and stop this imposter. So that is going to be continuing on through the series. Very excited to see what goes on. I honestly had no idea that Thor as a woman was a thing until, you know, a bunch of dude bro comic people started complaining about it because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I was like, I gotta pick it up, see for myself. I really enjoyed it. I am very intrigued to see how the rest of the series kind of plays out and whether that's going to be like the direction the movie takes, or if it's just going to be something different. Now, I was obviously very inspired by recent releases of trailers and information of movies in terms of what books I read, because the next book I picked up in September was Harley Quinn Breaking Glass by Mariko Tamaki, and this book I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. This is not going to be anything like the Birds of Prey movie coming out. If you have a run of Birds of Prey that you enjoy, leave it down below, because I need to pick some of that up before going to see the movie. I mean, I don't need to, but I would like to, and the one Birds of Prey comic that I read was just very male-gazy and icky. So if you have any good runs of that, let me know. I'd love to read it. But this is a young adult sort of adaptation of Harley Quinn's origin story, and you really see, I really love young Harley. This is so wholesome and cute, even though it's Harley Quinn, so it can't necessarily be wholesome and cute. She is very more of a chaotic, neutral but almost chaotic good in this little tome. She really wants to do what is best for herself and for her family. It's a very good found family story, so if you like those, you'll probably really like this as well. You meet Ivy, who is going to be Poison Ivy, I hope, who is this very wonderful, she is like an activist at her school. She does protests, she fights the administration, you know, she does all of these things trying to better Gotham City, and Harley meets her and really wants to do good by her and wants to do good things just like Ivy, but she realizes that her idea of righting wrongs is more of an anarchy sort of way. Are we surprised? No. I really enjoyed getting to see Ivy, and hopefully, I think this is the first, I don't think this is a standalone, I think this is the first in a series. This is a larger, like, graphic novel. It wasn't like a single volume or issue. I'd love to see more of young Ivy. That was precious. I love Ivy. I love Poison Ivy. She is one of my favorite characters. I really love this iteration of her. Harley was just so sweet. There are cameos from other characters in the DC sort of Batman realm universe. Not gonna spoil it, but you do get to meet some other characters. This is really precious. I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read this month was Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. I read this as an audiobook. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I just love Carrie Fisher. This is like an autobiography of her life. This one is focused a lot on her life. She doesn't really touch on Star Wars. She does as like a point in her life, but more so talks about just herself and her relationships in terms of familial and romantic, and she talks about her daughter in this one too, and then just kind of her struggles with mental health and addiction, and I just really enjoy it. Carrie Fisher was a wonderful human. She narrates the audiobook, so it was really wonderful to get to listen to her. If you're a fan of Carrie Fisher, you'll really like this one. If you don't really care, you can probably skip it. This is definitely more so for her fans, for people who already have kind of an idea of who she is and what she's done. It's a fairly short audiobook as well, so I highly recommend you pick it up if you are a fan of her work. The next book that I read in the month of September was A Fighting Chance by Elizabeth Warren. I listened to this as an audiobook. Elizabeth Warren does narrate it. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to talk a lot about this one because I live a very politically charged life. Like, politics are a big part of my life. I'm very active in the political sphere, but this is my booktube, so not going to get too far into it, but just, you know, the primaries are coming up. Do your research. Make sure you're researching every single candidate and really picking one that aligns with what you believe in. Primaries are important. It's not just the presidential election that counts, so get informed, go vote. That's all I'm gonna say. I really enjoyed this read, and yeah, we're just gonna move on to the next one. The next book that I read was kind of, and it was definitely an impulse buy. I don't want to say kind of. I had no intention of buying this until I saw it and knew I needed to have it. So that is going to be The World of It by Elise Wax, and it also has a foreword by Andy Muschietti in it. This is gonna be going on my coffee table. Sorry, friends and family. You get to see this whenever you come to my house. This is so cool. It has a lot of pictures from behind the scenes, and it also has some forewords. It has some concept art, which is really cool. And it has like some like close-up, but this is Ben's room. This is his walls. You kind of see it in the first movie, but you don't really get to really look at it, and that's incredible. And so it's really fun getting to see. Obviously a lot of work was put into this. It's cool getting to see stuff like that. You also have beautiful stills from the movies. I just love that. And then you also get, you know, there's behind the scenes concept art for iconic scenes, which is really cool. You also get little interviews with the actors that play both the kid version of the characters and the adult versions. So that was really cool. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm a constant reader. I am a Stephen King stan. I am trash for him and the things he creates, and especially it. I loved the first movie. I loved the second one. I cried multiple times. It was everything horror should be, honestly. It wasn't the scariest thing I've ever seen, but the characters, you just, oh. I loved it, so I knew I had to get this. This does retail for $40 in the US, but I got it at Target, and there was like a cartwheel sale going on, and also Target books are 20% off list price, so I definitely didn't pay that much, as much as it was originally priced for it. This was still an impulse splurgy buy, but I know I'm gonna be going back to it. I have already read through it, but just, it's so cool, like, wow. Icons. And can I just say, they did such a good job casting. Like, when I was looking at it, when I was looking at the cast list before the second movie came out, I was like, oh yeah, they did a pretty good job. We'll see. But can I just say, the guy who plays grown-up Eddie nailed it. He had the perfect mannerisms, even like facial tics. Like, I'm surprised that they are not related at all. They should both look at their family trees and figure something out, because I was very convinced that that was that younger actor in an older form. But yeah, moving on to the next one. I could talk about that book and it all day, but we won't, because this is a wrap up about everything that I read. The next book that I read this month was The Diviners by Libba Bray. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars, which I'm so disappointed by. I was expecting to like this book a whole lot more than I did. This is the first in a series. It is set in 1920s New York, and it's about a group of young people that have special abilities, or diviners, and they have to kind of group together to stop a paranormal force. This really checked everything up my alley. I really do enjoy a good historical period piece. I enjoy the 1920s as an era. I did minor in history, so I know a lot about the era, and I had a weird little phase in elementary school where I really enjoyed Kit Kittredge, the American Girl doll, so like I was really into Great Depression history in like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. And I love like paranormal, creepy, haunted shit, so I thought I would really enjoy this. I think I started with the audiobook, which was a mistake for me. It didn't click with me, and that's okay. Not all audiobooks have to click with you, and so I actually picked it up physically, and I read it, and well, I got like the ebook from Overdrive. I did enjoy it a whole lot more that way. It was a good story. It was a good solid story, but it wasn't like captivating. It wasn't the best thing I'd ever read, and there was so much hype around it that it just didn't live up to it for me. I will probably see if I can pick up the next book in the series and give it a shot, because I really don't like judging things on like their first season if it's a TV series, or first book if it's like a lengthy series. And 3 stars is a really good rating. I really enjoyed it. It just didn't have like any wow factor for me. And it did take me a while to read, so it wasn't. So this is the 8th book that I had read this month, but it was more like the 3rd book that I had picked up this month, and it actually took me all month to read, just because I never felt like picking it up. Once I picked it up, I really enjoyed it, and I would read a lot of it in one go, but I never had like that spark to read it and like wish that I was reading it when I was reading other things, so that kind of differentiates a 3 from a 4-star for me. But I did really enjoy it. I am wondering how much of that audiobook influenced my rating of it, because I did listen to a very good chunk of the audiobook, and I didn't enjoy it while I was waiting for the physical copy, so I will be picking up the 2nd book. It's not like high on my list of priorities. I'm not going to try and fit it in during like October or anything. I have my TBR set. It's a good one. It's coming soon. We love spooky season. But yeah, I want to give it a try, another go, because I have heard wonderful things about this series, so I'm looking forward to the next book. And then the 9th and final book that I read this month is Into the Drowning Deep by Shannon McGuire, or Mira Grant is how she published this book, but actually the audiobook from Overdrive credited Shannon McGuire for this, so I don't know if she's trying to like replace Mira Grant with Shannon McGuire. I don't know, but Mira Grant is what it's under Goodreads, but they're the same person. It's just a pen name. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I will say it was a 4.5 to 5 up until like the ending. I just felt the ending was very rushed. But I really love this one. This is about a documentary crew that make kind of like horror movies, almost like, think of like BuzzFeed Unsolved or Ghost Adventures. They like go to places to get evidence of creepy crawlies, and so this crew aboard the Itargatis ship goes to the Mariana Trench to look for mermaids, and they all disappear. The ship is found, and none of the crew members are found, but there is a tape that's released showing mermaids, and these mermaids have killed them all, and that's that. Mermaids exist, and they're also killer. The rest of the world kind of takes this as a hoax, and kind of the company making light of a really tragic situation, because they went to the Mariana Trench to find mermaids, and they think that it's like fake footage, but it turns out that it really isn't fake footage, and the company actually pays for a 2nd expedition to go to the Mariana Trench and kind of figure out what's going on with these mermaids. They're better prepared, they know they exist, so they bring a team of scientists to explore that. The 2nd team of scientists is who you follow. It's a mostly female main protagonists, and it's always awesome to see some badass ladies of science taken front and center stage. I really enjoyed this one. 4 out of 5 stars, a very high 4 out of 5 stars. And it's kind of open-ended, so I feel like there could maybe be a sequel. I would be open to reading that, and this is my first book that I've ever read by Mira Grant / Shannon McGuire. I really want to pick up more of her work, and it really got me excited for October, because I am so ready to pick up all of the creepy, spooky books this month. That's going to be the end of this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Give it a like, subscribe, all of that good stuff if you want to catch more content from me. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!